Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name's Bobby Waldron, and what this is a tutorial video on a general basic tools rundown, okay? Kind of like the tools of the trade. As you can see, we've got lots of tools, lots of paints here, and all this video is just basically showing you what I use all this stuff for, okay, and what it is, what it does, maybe try and kind of give you a general price range. And what I hope to do is kind of show you that you know, some tools are important, some tools are just kind of like you don't really need it, some are luxuries, okay, and hopefully save you a bit of money, hopefully give you an idea what to maybe buy first, what you must buy, what you don't really need at this moment in time, say if you're a basic modeler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the camera up so that we can get a good look at all this stuff, and I'll walk you through it. Okay, as you can see, we've got our one side of our wall here, and I'm just going to work your way through everything here. Well, the first thing I'd like to show is decent lighting, okay? This here is a free bulb lamp, and they're daylight lamps. I think it was around about maybe the £80 mark. It is quite expensive, but it does come on a nice stand which you can maneuver about and all this kind of stuff and get it in the position you want. You can have two lamps on at a time, or you can switch to all three lamps going on. Really is nice for being able to see your model a lot better. Okay, just put that out of the way. Starting from the top, we've got our Tamia polishing compounds. Now these are really nice for doing your canopies, for even polishing up a nice, shall we say, a high gloss finish on paintwork as well. They come in, you buy them singly, but to buy the set would be good, because you get a course, which, although course might sound a bit too harsh for canopies, it's actually really fine, and then the fine gets even finer, and then the finish just really polishes up like glass, which is a really nice compound which I would recommend for canopies. Moving along, you've probably already seen them. You've got your green putty, your white putty, your Vallejo plastic putty. I think these are around about maybe £4 each or something around about that, and they're good to have as well. Back to the Tamia polishing compound, I think they were maybe about £10–15, but I had to get them from China. What we've also got is our Tamia masking tape, okay? You've got, I think it's 6, 10 and 16 mil, different sizes for masking up for different kind of spray work. You can get as well the refill packs. I'll just grab that. These refill packs of the different sizes. It's better if you kind of buy the actual case where you can actually tear off, and it's just a lot easier that way, and then get the refill packs afterwards. Next up, paints. Okay, the Vallejo paints, okay, and these are the Model Air, which are the ones that are used for spraying. You can get the, I think it's called Model Colour or something like that. Those are for painting. I'll use the Model Air versions. Now these paints are, shall we say, really nice, easy, user-friendly paints. They dry to a matte finish. You don't really have any problems trying to spray them. You can spray them neat, but I like to add a bit of thinners to help it along, and you can actually mix them 50-50 thinners, although they're actually thinned so that you can spray them neat apparently. But they're around about £1.70 to like maybe £1.90. Good set of paints. The colours that you get with this range, they're good, but I wouldn't say they're the best out of all the different manufacturers. Moving down, we've got our Extra Acrylics by Hanance. Now these are probably the hardest paints to spray. They can really dry up in your paintbrush. They're a bit of a pain. I like to add Flow Improver to these paints just to help them along. To be honest with you, I mean, I think they're almost £2 or something. Quite expensive, hard to use, and there's just something a little bit, shall I say, a cheaperness to it than the rest of the manufacturers. However, the advantage to Extra Acrylics is they are they've got some nice colours. I mean, they've really got some nice RAF, and they've got some nice RLM colours, and that's good for matching up the exact kind of colours you need for your aircraft, which is quite a good note. Moving along, there's some Genesis Models washes here which I'm still kind of going through the formulas and trying to get it just right for the jobs I want it to do, which is like doing panel lines, cockpits, wheel wells, that kind of stuff. We've also got the Mr. Surfacers. You've got 3 types here. You've got 500, 1000, 1200. This is good for filling areas where you want just to, you know, lightly fill in a light seam line, a light gap, to cover up really kind of light scratches and that kind of stuff. This stuff's good. You paint it on. I think they're around about £5–6 ish, and you have to kind of get these from Taiwan, China, that kind of stuff. Although Models Argo are actually selling them at the moment. Moving along, we've got some Jami Dog Tape. Okay, this is really good stuff. It's you can get it in like 1mm, 3mm, or is it 4mm, or some, or 1, 2 and 3mm. Really good because they're so thin. You can actually get it to the curvature that you want to mask up. So you can do, shall we say, you know, the Tamia tape is good for doing straight lines, whereas this tape, it's good for, you know, getting curves and stuff, going around noses and that kind of stuff. Really good stuff. I think you could get that on eBay. It's maybe around about the £4 mark. Next up, I like to keep some Pco Rings. Okay, this is good for doing, do you know, the yellow stripes on freefall bombs? Good for doing, it's good to have different size circles because you can actually use this to mask up, shall we say, a circle that you want to spray, and it's good for that. Apart from that, that's about it with them. There's these which are easy lines. Okay, these are good for doing, do you know, the aerials on World War II planes that go from, say, around about the cockpit area to the tail section? This stuff is really good for doing that because it's elasticated as well, which makes it easy to apply, and you can get different sizes for that. Okay, now I think just off camera here, I've got some palettes, just some different palettes just for mixing up paint and doing paintbrush work. I've also got off camera, we've got some latex gloves, definitely very useful for keeping your models nice and clean. I think they're around about the £5 mark ish, give or take. Also, I've got one of these. It's a Rotorcraft mini sander. This is, shall I say, a luxury item because I think it was quite expensive. It was something like £60. Very expensive. Nice. It's a nice luxury. It's good for doing metal work, really. Whenever you got, say, some shall we say, low quality photo etch, and you want to kind of sand that down and grind it down to the right shape, or just simply tidying it up. Okay, what we've also got, some kitchen paper towels, very important for all sorts of cleaning and maybe wiping off washes, just general kind of cleaning. It's good to get some top quality paper towels as well. Also off camera is Evolution 2-in-1 airbrush. This is, I would say, a must, okay? Although it is about £130 and it is expensive, it is a lifetime, shall we say, a lifetime tool. Once you've brought it, you've got it, that's it, you can keep it for life. They're nice and easy to clean. You can do all sorts of work with this, any kind of like intricate detail and stuff, okay? So if you know you're going to go professional, I would recommend you just say stuff it, spend the £130 and get an airbrush. You don't have to get this exact one, but get one in around about that price range. Don't go for like these £20 ones off eBay, or even an intermediate one at say £60, £80 or something. You know, get in there and get a decent airbrush, okay? And then you're sorted for life then. I have got my air compressor down here and a regulator which is all hooked up, and I can't put it on camera, but my air compressor is a TC5000. It's a twin piston compressor. It's got a 2.5 litre tank. It was, did I say how much it was? 200 and about, it was about £250. And the TC5000, the actual people who make it are the people who make the Iwati compressors. The Iwati compressors that are like really expensive, and basically the same manufacturer does the TC 5000, so you get to save a bit of money by not kind of, shall we say, paying for the name Iwati. Okay, now moving along, we've got an assortment of blue tack, white tack. Also, I mean, this is good for all sorts of things, like holding certain pieces on cocktail sticks for spraying, for doing camo work, and stuff like that. A bit of Johnson's baby powder. This is good for mixing with super glues. It just helps, shall we say, when you sand down the super glue, if you add some talcum powder, it just makes it easier to sand down the super glue, and that's that. I like to keep an array of thinners, okay? I like to keep some for my Vallejo, for Tamia, and for the extra acrylic. I just find it's nicer just to stick with the manufacturer, although you can get away with just going out buying X20A. And X20A will thin Vallejo, extra acrylics, Citadel, and Tamia. So, you know, if you just want to get the one, just get the X20A, and it should be good for a lot of acrylic paints. I do only use Vallejo Airbrush Cleaner for cleaning out the airbrush. I kind of only like this really because it was the first one I brought and I had no problems with it, so I'm happy with that. I like this stuff as well because you can dilute it 50%, so you can put 50% water in this and it's still good, although I do like to just stick with 100% because it just makes things quicker on cleaning and stuff. And these thinners, I mean, they're around about maybe the £5–7 mark, and that's them. Flow improver, as mentioned earlier, it's good for helping extra acrylics kind of flow and not dry up so much. A couple of drops in your your spray cup, and that will nicely help these, shall we say, kind of pour spraying paints spray a bit easier. I think this was maybe about £8 or something, and this will last forever if you're only dropping in a couple of drops of paint. I've also got some Reveiw thinners for enamel paints. To be honest with you, I don't use enamel paints and I don't really use that very often. Then we've got cellulose thinners. This is really good stuff for, you know, you can use it to kind of wipe away filler to make a nice join on models. You can use it for cleaning out your airbrush, really nice. It's just, and for cleaning your, it's just an all nice all round kind of like cleaner. and stuff like that, and you can use it for like fillers and stuff. I've also got a couple of different super glues. We've got a thin CA glue. Okay, this is like basically really thin. Basically you're talking thin, medium and thick, and by having a thin super glue it just dries a lot quicker. It can flow into nooks and crannies. You've got the medium, which is just your standard kind of super glue, and you've got a thick super glue, which the drying time isn't as fast, so you can kind of play around with a piece if you want to try and get the right angle and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to have all three of them really, but I mean you can get away with just having the medium because I use that mainly. It's just a bit of a luxury to have the thin and thick, and I like these by Zapagap because one, I think they're around about the £5 or £6 mark, and you get a whole 1 ounce. So if you go off and you buy those kind of, what I used to do as well was kind of go out and you buy the cheap 99p super glues. If you work it out, you actually get more super glue for your money by just buying these proper Zapagap stuff. I've got this also, this Z7 debonder. What this is if you get super glue where you don't want it, apply a bit of this debonder and it kind of shall we say, it turns the super glue into like a gooey kind of snotty kind of substance, and you can wipe it away easier by using that. So that's kind of a nice little luxury. Then we've got some Canopy Glues. I did buy this Formula 560 Canopy Glue. It's pretty good, it's not bad, but I did find that the Micro Crystal Clear was better. This is good for gluing your canopies in, just to make sure they're all glued in but not glued in, so that you end up getting misty super glue, shall we say, on your canopy, or Tamia extra thin kind of melting your canopy and making a mess of it. It's also good for making windows. Next we've got some Vital Bond, which is like a kicker, a super glue activator. And what you do is you put your super glue on, you spray some of this on and blow, and then your super glue's gone rock hard really quick. This is good for all sorts of stuff, but I mean the one good thing is when you do stuff like here we go, some remove before flight tags. You've got this little kind of bit of metal that you put on the end of your flight remove before flight tag, and it's really hard to get that to glue onto the model, but by using the kicker it instantly glues it on, instead of you faffing around for like how long trying to hold it in that delicate position. So that's good. Also got some Zee Poxy. Okay, this stuff is 2 formulas, and it makes like a resin kind of filler. You mix them together, okay, and you got about 10 minutes to play around with kind of filling it in, and once it's dried, it's dried. It's one of these, I don't use it very often, but I like it because it doesn't have any shrinkage like your green putty and your Mr. Surfacer. Once it's dried, it's going to stay like that. I find it's good for kind of like filling in big gaps, and then you could come along on top of that with green putty or something. It just kind of, you know, just reduces the amount of shrinkage you've got. But I mean, we can look at that in step-by-step video builds. It was quite expensive, I think off the top of my head about £10–15. Expensive, but it is good for when you can use it, which isn't very often. That's a bit more of a luxury than anything. Gator Glue, I kind of use this for like wood stuff. I don't really use that much often. Some simple PVA glue, use that for all sorts of stuff like mixing with pigments to make nice mud weathering, and just some maybe potential general gluing. I've got this little container here, and what's in here is, I'll just go get it. Okay, what we've got in here is just some nice cheap Asda hairspray. Okay, and all I did was I sprayed it into this little pot, okay, just so that I can then easily pour this into my spray cup and just spray it on the model. This is good for like using the hairspray technique where you can get like some really nice realistic chipping. Okay, next I like to use the extra acrylic flat varnish by Hanance. This is good for really making a nice matte surface, especially if you put this in neat into your cup, whack your air pressure up to absolute max, spray it on, and you get a really nice matte finish with this stuff. In this one we have, it's mainly water and micro set. Okay, this is good for softening up your decals, and I just put it in this spray container so I could simply spray on the model and get a nice even coverage, rather than coming along dipping your paintbrush in the micro set and trying to paint all over. It's just nice quick spray, bang, and you're good to go. Next up we've got some surface primer by Vallejo. Now this surface primer, it is good. It does give you a really nice surface, nice finish. It's self-leveling. It's actually really cheap. I mean, you're talking, I think this was about £10, but you get, what's the volume? I think it was 200 mils. Yep, 200 mils. You get 200 mils for around about £10, which, if you take Vallejo's grey primer 097, okay, you're talking about £2, £1.70 a pot, and you get 17 mils in here. So you kind of work it out and you do get a lot of paint for your money. The only downside to this though, it does leave a nice surface, but you really do need to make sure that your surface, your model, is pristine, because once this goes on, you can't really sand out this paint. What I mean by that is when you come to sand it, it doesn't sand away, it seems to peel away. Okay, so if you put your primer down and you want to check to make sure everything's okay, and you find something you've got to sand, you're going to have a problem with that. So I do like to make sure I'm very confident that the model is really good before I use this, but when you do use it, it is a nice surface. This is just some more airbrush cleaner. I just tried it out and I still like the Vallejo airbrush cleaner, so I won't really bother with that. We've got some matte medium. Okay, this is by Winsor & Newton. Okay, matte medium, it's good for, you can add a couple of drops to paint or any kind of maybe washes or anything like that that's acrylic based, and basically you can basically make a gloss paint matte. Okay, or if you want to go for a really nice matte surface, you can get that on there. You could also mix it with like PVA glue and pigments to get that really nice nice mud weathering effects. You add a bit of matte medium and it makes it all nice and matte. You can get the gloss version as well, which you can like add that to any paints and you end up getting like a gloss paintwork. That's kind of good. I think that was quite expensive. It was around, I think around about £10. That's a bit of a luxury as well. In here is our Pledge clear multi-surface wax floor cleaner, which, yes, you polish your floors with this, but you pour it neat into your spray cup and it is just like any other gloss paint. Okay, it just puts a nice glossy protective coat on your paintwork, and you can end up with nice glossy finishes with this. And I just pour it in a nice little pot like this, just to make it easier for pouring. They used to do an old version of this, okay, which people I've noticed have been paying something like £30 for this stuff, okay, just because it was the old version. This is the new version. People kind of worried that it wasn't, shall we say, the same as the old stuff, okay, but it is. It's good. It's a little tiny different, but it's just as good, no problems. You're talking 750 mils, okay, which is a lot for around about £5. Good stuff. Don't bother with the old stuff, it's too expensive now. Next, I also have some Alclads 2 Aqua Gloss ALC 600, around about £5 or £6. It's basically exactly the same as this. Basically exactly the same, apart from 750 mils, and you get 120 mils here, and they're around about the same price. And to be honest with you, I have tried using this, and this seems better to me, to be honest. So that is, shall we say, just get some clear, you'll be fine. Next up, whole array of pigments. Now, got lots of different colours here, made by Flurry Models. They're around about, I think, £4.50 ish. I get these from Models I'll Go. These are quite good, actually. I mean, talking about pigments, you've got the MIG Production pigments. I do think MIG Production pigments are, shall we say, better, but the Flurry Models pigments, I mean, you get a hell of a lot more pigments for your money than you do with MIG Production. So, you know, I mean, yeah, I'd say the Flurry Models are probably the better ones, because the fact that you get so much more. Because when it comes to do like those nice muddy weathering effects, I mean, you do use quite a bit of this stuff, and you know, this will last a lot longer than your MIG Production. Yeah, but the MIG Production, you do get a lot more colours. So if there's any particular colour that you want to get, MIG Production is probably going to have it. Whereas this is the whole range for Flurry Models, which I think there's about 7 there. But you can mix the colours, but sometimes I don't like to do that. I like to try and go for the colour I want. And then I've just got a bunch of spare needles and different sizes, because for the needles for your airbrush, okay, you can get like, I think it's like 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, and I think you can get 0.8. I just go for 0.2 and 0.4, and I have no problems just using them, and I just keep a couple of spares just in case. And right, that is this side of the wall. So I'm going to cut away now, and I'm going to set up the camera to show this side of the wall, and we'll see what's on this side.